we move seamlessly from a vision or visions of a present city as it had imagined its future in the past to how present cities are imagining themselves in their near future. And that apparently, according to many experts of cities, is this word smart. And the question is, what is the implication of the word smart? Does it mean that before smart cities, cities were not smart? And what is the opposite of smart? Or maybe smart is one of those words, like the cloud, which we heard about yesterday, that feels so much like a technologist's dream of a better future. What is the resolution of the smart city? When does it reach the singularity? What, if anything, comes after the smart city? Liam Young is an architect who operates in the spaces between design, fictions, and futures. He's the founder of the think tank Tomorrow's Thoughts Today, a group who explore the possibilities of fantastic, speculative, and imaginary urbanisms. Liam has recently surrounded legendary musician John Cale in a flock of drones, and you'll often find him in the hinterlands of modern Earth, spaces that seem invisible to most of us, yet are in some way or the other crucial to our existences. To find out if the future was smart, will you please welcome Liam Young. Thank you.
Thanks, Shimon. What I'm going to try to do in the next 25 minutes is take us on a kind of a storytelling journey through this impending smart city. I do these talks as sort of storytelling performances as opposed to the architect and his PowerPoint presentation. And it's a story that will be built from fragments of real landscapes that exist, that we've visited through some of our research projects, but also fictional speculations that we've developed out of these contexts. And particularly for this tour through the smart city, we'll see fragments of a new film we're developing called Where the City Can't See, which is shot entirely through LiDAR scanners. The first film made entirely from data about a near-future smart city of Detroit, the Detroit Special Economic Zone, owned and operated by China. We'll just see glimpses of that on our tour. Should we get going? Yes? Okay. The story today is called Hello City. We're in a driverless taxi, and the smart city is sitting beside us. It smells of hard drives and fiber optics and Red Bull. And the electric motor hums and we rumble on quietly. And while we all weren't watching, the city has been silently changing. It's been getting smarter. Tickled with technology, it's been remaking itself for someone other than us. The city leans in. Sorry, it's just business, the city whispers. So the city has invited us on this road trip across its digital skin. It's looking forward to showing us around, to visit the sites and structures made for and by its machines. Sites that we now visit, sites that we didn't see coming, sites in which we no longer belong. And we will trace their edges, their glitches, their anomalies, and we'll see where the digital bubbles to the surface, to condense into the landscapes, architectures, and natures of our impending smart city. So above us, drifting at 6,711 miles an hour, is an intricate and improbable creation. Delicately dancing with gravity is the Google Earth satellite. And through the optical technologies of this hurtling bird of reflecting panels and heat shields and nanomaterials, the smart city looks down on us, looks down on the Earth and tiles together this digital map of its surface. At the resolution of this map, a pixel is less than 0.5 meter in scale. It's just a bit bigger than the width of our bodies, and at this scale, we're a discoloration, a dead pixel, thoroughly embedded in the grain of technology and indistinguishable from the city and the technology that surrounds us. So ancient craftsmen once measured the world based on the parts of the human body. The cubit is based on an elbow, or the length of a thumb is an inch. We once understood our city through systems that put ourselves, our own vision and patterns of occupation at the center of the structures that we design. But in the smart city, the body is no longer the dominant measure of space. It's the technologies of data acquisition that now define our experience of the city. And we drift through this digital map of the city's surface, a data territory that binds the entire smart city together. The city points at a structure out the window. In the distance, we just begin to make out the tracery of markings scored across the city's surface. It's not evidence of some ancient tribal culture, though, or a forgotten relic of the Nazca lines, but these are traces of the new tribes of the digital, the animal tracks of the ordering machines above. So this is the calibration target for satellites, a machine vision graphic that's etched into the ground of the city and supporting the precision that this whole smart city system relies on. And these patterns were created to give satellite-mounted cameras something on which to calibrate their lenses. The skin of the city is a digital test pattern, and like a cave painting, they are markings of a new culture firmly on the rise. And this is our new city. The smart city operates on this Borgesian one-to-one map of the world. The pixel is the territory, and the driverless car is our vessel. And the city turns to us and smiles in a grin of server racks and silica. And like early web crawlers, we now traverse the city and its streets. We are collecting data, feeding the city, because just like Google, the smart city uses driverless cars to ground truth its maps, to correlate the data collected from the satellites above. And our car is scanning the landscape, shooting out a laser at 1,000,000 times a second, reflecting off the world and rendering it as this extraordinary point cloud. So XYZ, RGB, these are the complexities that the city has evaporated into, a kind of coordinate cloud. And through its machine vision, the city and its fleet of driverless cars identify markers, they reduce detail and complexity to these recognizable forms and figures for processing. We once organized the city based on our own visual sightlines and orientation points, but now we sit in the back seat, hands off the wheel, and the city is driving, and we're effortless passengers through the city machine. So in this city, the machine vision systems that it relies on uses what's called fiducials, which are recognizable markers placed in the environment, which are used for calibration and navigation. So as the pixel is now reshaping our cities, we are seeing the emergence of a new genre of architecture, a fiducial architecture that's designed to be read by machines, but that finds its site in both the digital spaces of the network and the physical ground of the city. So like the life of the old city, its nuance, its subtlety, is now seen as these blank geometries of calibration markers and simple surfaces. And this is how these machines of the smart city see our world, like an animated cubist painting, where every meaningful inch is calculated with millimeter precision to be controlled and managed. The city says, I want to take us on a trip to where this all began, to see the origins of the smart city. And as we drive, we see from a clearing in the point cloud mist the cavernous landscapes of an emerging industry, an urban culture at the beginning of its life. So it's in these massive mining excavations scattered on the edge of the world that our new digital realities begin and end their lives. And we each have a bit of the material from these sites in the smart technologies in our pockets, charged and quietly vibrating. And the digital models of these landscapes are now linked live to the fluctuations of the metal prices on the stock market. And as explosive diggers and drills have replaced the slow erosion of rivers and earthquakes, we are scoring our economy into the archaeological record, a chronicle of all the digital permutations that drive the modern world. And in these landscapes we see vehicles just like ours, but no drivers, just systems. And mining trucks rumble up mountains, and tractors carve soil along GPS trails generated by the city's orbiting bodies above. And drifting within the smart city data sea is also the computer-controlled container fleet of the mega shipping industry. The paper sea charts and maps, once scribbled over by captains, have now been sucked into the screen, and the ships now navigate autonomously based on traffic algorithms or efficient route processing. And now, when the ship docks, they're not met by able-bodied seamen, but by unmanned portside cranes driven by these same company algorithms. And autonomous creatures roll across the tarmac surfaces of portside painted lines and markings. Their operators, the ship captain, are just passengers in the machine, their bodies repurposed as a component in the landscape-scaled robots that stacks the containers ready to transport our goods all the way home. And these are the human machines of the production line, orchestrated by the same efficiency algorithms that power the smart city. These are the real robots of our new cities of technology. Parts per minute, defects identified, the body matched in speed to the conveyor that turns in front of it. This is us in our glorious smart city, where any meaningful moment can somehow be counted and measured. The efficient city is hungry. It feeds on data. It is our data, crunched up and fed back to us like a dog eating its own sick. So the infrastructures of the digital world have these extraordinary implications on material experience. These are the architectures behind the screen and beyond the fog of the smart city cloud. These are the physical outputs of our digital engagement with the world. This collection of post-human architectures that we begin our tour with are spaces that reverberate across multiple frequencies, across multiple landscapes, sites, places, and forms of experience. In the city, the terms virtual and real no longer apply. And the efficiencies of the new, smarter city are born out of these practices of corporate production processes, industrial systems, and supply chain engineering. So the city's rhetoric of efficiency and problem solving has been scaled down from all the industry we've just witnessed to now the complexities and subtleties of urban life. So as we drive from the periphery of the city to its center, we listen to a ringtone symphony that echoes through the streets, and we're all vibrating, chiming, and chirping. And the city looks us over. Are you a customer or a citizen? The city says. It finds such questions difficult, and with a million sensor eyes, it glares at us with the same cold, detached gaze as it does the production line. So the city has always been thought of as this kind of future machine. A rising climate, environmental collapse, an aging population, energy sustainability, livability, security were all questions that the smart city was supposed to be the answer for. And the rhetoric of technology solves all is marketed to us through these cute icons of urban life. simplified flowcharts, taglines, and marketing speak. And now the city takes us to the residential districts, to the Samsung towers, and we put our ears to the cool, beveled aluminium door of one of the apartments and listen to the conversation inside. We hear Duri drop a Samsung Galaxy SX phone onto the kitchen table. We hear it chime softly as it makes contact with the paper-thin Samsung Qi Smart Power charging mat. We hear her scream down the hallway at her husband, raising her voice over the Samsung air conditioner. Why does the new TV say LG on it, she says. Because it's made by LG, her husband replies. But are you trying to get us thrown out? Our lease is up for review in 3 months, and you bought an LG TV into a Samsung housing block. What the hell will the neighbors say? The city shrugs. It uses Apple and doesn't care for the tribulations of the Samsungese. And we roll on, headed for our next stop in the Smart City tour. And now the city takes us to visit the control room, hidden in an anonymous shed within the depths of the city. Who's in charge then? I ask the city. Well, why, you are, of course, it says. And that's the rhetoric of the smart city that's based around our own data feeds and patterns, and like the driverless car, the control room is empty. And the city has outsourced its management tasks to low-res image recognition algorithms and simple rule-based protocols. A citywide dataset fed on countless sensors, scanners, cameras, and satellites translated into server stacks and then into the complexities of urban life. The city, once publicly elected, is now managed by these proprietary software systems, and public services disappear into the fog of the cloud. Have you met Lena? The city says excitedly. She's from 1972 Swedish Playboy. She works here, it says. So Lena is the face that was used to define early training sets for every image recognition algorithm that the world now uses. And she's a true ghost in the machine, and she's just one example of how the smart city technologies of scanning and understanding the world is not neutral at all. So encoded into these rules of the smart city are racial bias, Western privilege, ideology, and an agenda of simplicity and efficiency, but perhaps not for all. Perhaps just for Lena. And like Lena, other strange creatures roam these territories of the city. They bleep, they glitch. Hey guys, says a soda machine. So in the 80s, a soft drinks vending machine was the first device to be connected to a computer network. It sent data of its contents to everyone in the office down the hall. And my water bottle hasn't spoken to me in weeks, so it's refreshing to hear the virtues of staying hydrated again. So in this smart object, in this vending machine, is the lineage of all of our ingenuity, the pointy end of a network that stretches across the planet, the largest construction project in human history. So you want a Pepsi? The vending machine says. So throughout history, the city has always stood quiet, and now we are making a world of living objects, listening, watching, and talking back. Everything is connected to everything, and the rhetoric of the Internet of Things will make our lives better, fulfilled, and happy. And appliances hum, and the cooling fans whir, the LEDs blink, and babies drift off to sleep amid white noise lullabies. And we become the unwelcome visitors in a world we have created in our own mirror image. How network coverage flickers, how animated worlds glitch and buffer, and our objects acquire lives of their own. And we hear a fire department being called after a robot vacuum cleaner attacks a sleeping owner's head.
A South Korean woman got a rude awakening when she left her robot vacuum to do the cleaning while she took a nap. The vacuum cleaner reportedly mistook the woman for dust, locked onto her hair and tried to suck it up. The vacuum's suction was far from gentle, and wrenched the woman from her slumber. The woman's hair then became entangled in the cleaning device. The woman, who has not been named, was unable to free herself and called the fire department with a desperate rescue plea.
And Heinz was forced to apologize after QR code on a ketchup bottle linked to a hardcore porn site. Daniel Correll scanned the label to read about the promotion, but was instead directed to German porn site Fun Dorado. And now, all the dogs in the city are walked by drones. Think of the time saving, the city says. A pizza delivery drone zooms overhead. Another drone, armed with a dildo, disrupts a Russian parliamentary session. And another zips overhead en route to attack a village in a country half a world away. We should follow the Amazon Prime delivery drone that's zipping about above us, the city says. We can follow it back to the Amazon warehouse. That's where we keep everything, says the city. And stretching out before us is the endless shelves and storage bins of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. The Amazon bookshelves are stacked based on complex sorting algorithms engineered around sales frequencies and buying patterns. And we watch as Amazon robots rush through the stacks, navigating from book to book, filling orders and following the most efficient route generated for them by their navigation programming. And this is the library of the smart city, not organized around the Dewey Decimal System, but by buying habits and aggregated data sets. And this is a library that isn't organized for us. It's a space organized by digital logics and inhabited by bodies repurposed as machines. And we drive on. And this is the physical world left behind when everything disappears into the lens of Google Glass or Oculus Rift. And modern film studios are an analogy for the rest of the city, where we see a new kind of architecture, a new type of ornament based on calibration crosshairs and targets, stripped back to become scaffolds and infrastructure for a digitally constructed world. It's an architecture that's lying in wait, ready for the premiere of 1 million animated movies that will illuminate its surface with color, detail, and specificity. And the city is filled with the digital confetti of our desired worlds now projected just for us. This is the future that the city promises. So when we turn off the bespoke billboards of Minority Report's urban spaces, the tailored ads, the navigational prompts, the Tinder profiles, the track status updates of our sci-fi cityscapes, we will see a green screen world where everything has become a screen.
John Anderton.
Forget your troubles with Blue.
John Anderton.
And now we hear from the distance a dull roar that fills the cabin of our taxi. I wind a window down and hear the audience going crazy. Have you ever been to a Hatsune Miku concert, the city says? She's the pop star of our generation, a pop star for the smart city. Hatsune is a 3D projection with a larger fan base than most living musicians, and the crowd waves their glow sticks for a digital ghost of the city. And Hatsune is the first animated pop star, and just like the Kardashians or the Hiltons or the vloggers and Instagram stars, she has no real physical presence. She's just a media construction, an agglomeration of smart city pixels.
Dude, come on. Very good, come on.
And a YouTube cat video viral burst from the screen. And in the eyes of Google Glass holes, it skates across the floor of our living rooms, and the digital ephemera of the internet soon fills our physical spaces. No matter how many times the city and I watch it, it's still just as cute. And we see empty rooms that now fill with the flood of newscasts. In this case, the newscast broadcasting the latest tsunami from across the ocean. And what was once trapped on our screens now fills the world, and we inhabit our own pixel dreams. And spaces are tattooed with the tracking markers that are of course required to locate all our projected fantasies, our projected futures, our wondrous dreams of a city, of a world to come. A Hello World program is a computer program that outputs Hello World on a display. It's a super simple program that's used to verify that a language or software system is operating correctly. It is the first word spoken by a new system. Hello World burns onto the screen, announcing itself, telling us all that everything is going to be fine. And the smart city, of course, is already here. We aren't sure who asked it in, but we certainly aren't going to let it leave. And the services that were once public are now managed by the city, by the corporation, and we're asking, who is this city for? Because the smart city is of course not neutral, it's not universal, but fraught with the same contradictions as ourselves. And the future does not rush over us like water, it's something we all actively shape and define, but rarely does ideology evolve at the same pace of our technology. And my watch tells me about a coffee machine I've just met. And the city wraps us in a warm embrace. The LEDs blink and the cooling fans spin. And the streets are lined with sensors and the electromagnetic hums. And it smells like it's gonna rain. Our faces are bright in the rolling glow of a rectangular screen aurora. In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better. In the future,
everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better.
In the future, everything will be smart, connected, and make it all better. In